Living in the information age, there is so much out there, and with everybody having their own opinion, their own view, their own perspective, it can be really hard to know what to do. If you're struggling to manifest or what advice you should listen to, listen on. Manifest mindset with me. Hello and welcome to Manifest Mindset by Affirm Afform Attract. Your place to come to when you need tips and advice when manifesting. We are an affirmation channel and you can find all our affirmation videos on YouTube. Hello and welcome back to Manifest Mindset. It's been a couple of weeks. I know, I do apologize. I've just, a lot's been going on. I've just found myself into employment temporarily, doing a few extra bits and pieces in my life. There's a lot going on, so I've just kind of just been whacked out. I'm not going to go into it, but I do want to get on with this episode. So we're going to be talking about all the information out there when it comes to manifesting, including this lovely podcast right here. I always watch videos. I love listening to people's different point of views and reading comments. I learn a lot. I'm always on this journey. I find that in life, you're constantly learning and you're constantly having to keep up no matter what you do, whether you're trying to get fit, improving yourself in the skills that you already have, etc. It's important I find, to keep your mind open to an extent and to also find what works for you and to not get bogged down with, oh my gosh, my manifestation is not working because I'm not doing this. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, there's a new trend. And I need to jump on that trend. No, you don't need to jump on any trend. And most of the time, the things that are new, it's already been talked about and been done, but it's just been reworded, repackaged, and presented as new. And this is done because we live in an age of social media. We live in an age where someone's got something to say. And to make themselves pop, to become more popular, to gain more subscribers, followers, etc., everything can get rebranded when it's nothing new. So from that point, don't worry. You're not behind. You're not doing anything wrong. Now, when it comes to manifesting, we are always manifesting. The life we live now is we manifested it. The difference is that we haven't consciously manifested. It goes with your thoughts. Your thoughts turn into actions and what you do. If you start slacking, if you start being a bit lazy, whatever the reason, you end up taking those actions on and the end result is where you are now. Sometimes it could be you've worked hard, you've done the groundwork, you've put in the hours, and you still sometimes find yourself not where you want to be. And then that could be not because of the actions you're taking, could be slightly, but not all. It could be where your mental state is. So if your mental state is, well, why do I have to work so hard just to get a little bit of a pie, which used to be my thought process. I think I always saw my parents always worked hard and it was like they were just working hard to stay afloat and nothing really kind of got more than that. And I suppose for my childhood growing up, even though I made declaration to myself that I don't want my life to be like that, but it kind of turned out like that, if not worse. So it's what you're telling yourself while you're putting in the action and what you're doing. So you could be working hard all the time, but if you are saying to yourself, I'm never lucky enough, I always have to struggle, things always take long for them to come through for me. I don't mind working and putting in the groundwork, but eventually, something needs to happen and it never happens. If you start telling yourself these type of things, and then that could be the reason why you are only manifesting little bits and maybe not as far as you would like to be. So those are the two things. You've got not putting enough action in. And when I mean action, I'm talking about just, if you want to be an artist? Are you researching stuff? That type of stuff. Not just sit there and say you want to be amazing artist and be really popular, but then you're not practicing your art, or you're not even trying to look for ways or how to make that happen. And then you've got the other part, which is just mental, where you're doing everything. So you may fit into one or both of those categories. Now, I always said that when you do your research, you do your homework, and you're trying to find something, you're learning about your manifestation journey. I always believe that find what resonates with you and what works for you. Don't stress yourself about these new trends. Like I said, most of them are just stuff that's been said, but it's just said in a different way and repackaged and rebranded. So don't stress yourself. I mean, ultimately, it's as simple as what you think about, you become about. So if you're constantly thinking negativity, eventually it will start to show up in your reality, and that's it. So for you to consciously break that, you need to rethink what you think about yourself and your life and the words that you're telling yourself. Even though the reality is true, because I believe we're all put on this plane and we all get put in a direction. Some of us a little bit further along, some of us a little bit more better off, but we all got to walk a journey, and the journey has to be our own. Yes, we do look at other people and say it's not fair, whatever, but regardless of whether it's fair or not, this is your journey, and then you have to start. So your reality may be starting off where life just seems to be like one string of bad luck, and so you saying it is not making it, it's not as though you're manifesting it. It's just always seemed to be that way, which is fine. Yeah, let's just face it, that's fine. We don't all start off on a level playing field. We all start off with different privileges of where we are born, the family we're born to, etc. But the trick is to say, okay, so this is my reality, this is what seems to always happen, so now I need to change my thought process and fight it. So what needs to happen is, if you're someone who every time something good happens, something bad happens around the corner, or every time something good happens, it gets taken away, or just little things like that, you say, do you know what? I love how my life has turned around. It used to be like this, but now I'm always lucky. So whatever affirmation you have to tell yourself. Yes, this makes it harder, because what tends to happen is your old life will continue to play out for a while. And if you think about it this way, if you're always speaking the reality, and the reality that you're speaking is never really positive, imagine you got a bit of backlog to clear up. So you've got a bit of patience to have. I'm not saying that if you keep saying it and within 10 minutes something good won't happen or anything like that, but I do believe that you have to give yourself some type of patience and keep continuing to reaffirm the new life that you want for yourself. So if your reality is something that you don't want, you need to affirm the reality that you do want through words, thoughts, and maybe action as well. So if you're someone who's not getting up, or you're spending more time just faffing around, and all those little pockets of time that you have, you're not doing things to improve yourself, then change it. So instead of watching cut out one of the TV series that you watch that is for 40 minutes to an hour, and replace that with learning what you need to learn, or research what you really need to research, or do whatever it is that you need to do. Now, when it comes to finding what you should do, I always suggest to try things out. Don't force yourself to try something out. If you deeply feel as though, no, I just can't do that, it's fine. There's loads of techniques, there's loads of different ways. There's excuse me, there's been persistent in saying affirmations, for example. So you're just constantly saying, my life is always working out for me, things always work out for me, I love how life starts, my life is changing around, my life used to be this way, but now it's going towards this way. So sometimes, even if you're speaking statements and stuff to yourself, and affirmations there's so many affirmation channels. I have an affirmation channel. There's so much out there that you can go and just play and just make it part of your routine, like brushing your teeth every day, to listen to some affirmations. Even if you're struggling to believe in them, if you just keep listening to it, eventually your brain will start to accept it. Believe me, trust me, it works. Not because just affirmations, because that is how life is. I saw this little story before. I was just going, when I was on my Instagram, and I would watch little cleaning videos. So like you have little 15-20 seconds, someone's cleaning. And I was just scrolling through, always watching this. They will always show up on my feed. And what would happen is I would be going downstairs to make myself something to eat, but instead of me making myself something to eat, all of a sudden I found myself with a sponge and a spray in my hand, and I will be wiping down and cleaning just automatically. And it felt good and it felt normal and natural. I know people say, well, why wouldn't cleaning feel natural? But you know what I mean? But it just kind of like, I don't usually do that, like I don't usually go downstairs and just clean unless I specifically say, right, let me go downstairs and clear the kitchen or clean the bathroom or whatever. And what I learned, that just watching those images consistently really kind of reprogrammed my mind. It was telling me, oh, you're in the kitchen, clean. Because that's what I kept watching. So the same thing with affirmations. And believe me, I'm not like house proud and all the rest of it. So with something like that, just watching videos, can you imagine if you just keep feeding yourself information like you can do it, you've got what it takes, whatever the affirmations is. If you keep consistently listening to it, regardless of how you're feeling, it will eventually reprogram your mind, and then you start doing things. It doesn't mean that you can just stop afterwards and that's it, you've been reprogrammed forever. Because remember, your brain, it can always be reprogrammed to do stuff. You don't know how to change a tire today. If you learn it, that's something that you've reprogrammed your brain to learn how to change a tire. If you don't know how to do CPR, if you go and you learn how to do CPR, guess what? You reprogrammed your mind now how to do. And so that's how skill sets and stuff. And manifestation, living a manifested life that you want, is exactly the same thing. Is repetitive, is feeding your brain, followed up with maybe some action depending on what it is, to eventually to become, and you will get to that place. How many of you who own your little business now, how many of you own a YouTube channel or podcast or anything like that you didn't before, right? If you would have said, no, I can't do it, I can't, but look at you now. Look at where you are now. Look at the jobs that you're doing that you might have learned how to do. You weren't born with that knowledge. You had to learn that knowledge, and the persistence and consistency of learning that knowledge is then lead you to where you are now in that profession, regardless whether it's a profession that you want to do or not. And it's the same thing with manifestation. If you think of it like that, think of it as, if I be consistent in telling myself something, it will come true. It would have to come true, because reality has proven that all the time. It's proven the negative words and stuff that I say about myself has led to a negative mindset. I feel crap about myself. I don't feel good. So anytime something happens, you're just feeling as though you're always down in the dumps. But there's probably happy moments, but the happy moments come and they pass. But your mindset will always go back to your negative, whether it's money, relationships, you're not where you are in your life, because that is your dominant thought, and your life experience will be that of it not being such a great experience, because that's what you keep telling yourself. So the key is to reprogram yourself by doing things like, with it, scripting, listening to affirmations, watching people's success stories, listening to people, and keep absorbing that information until it becomes part of who you are. Now, when it comes to what exactly you should do, choose one. Some people like to script. Some people like to be affirm. Some people just like to be persistent. They say 10 minutes, 10 minutes throughout the day, 3-4 times in a day. I've always got money. I've got enough money to pay my bills. I've got my rent money. The rent money is in my bank account in time. I've always managed to pay my bills on time. Things always work out for me. Life can't help work. And you keep persisting and affirming. And the trick is to try not to waver, which we do. Something will happen, and then or something. It's like our brain tries to sabotage our thoughts when we start thinking positive or saying positive stuff. It tries to remind you of stuff that hasn't worked out. And the trick is, which might take a little time, to say, yes, I know that happened, but this is my new story. Yeah, but what happens is, especially if we are really struggling, we give in quite easily. I've done that. I give in so easily sometimes, and I just go into one. But there's times when I started to learn, and I say, yep, that was my life, or that happens, that constantly happens, but this is the new life that I'm setting for myself, so this is going to happen now. So whatever you have to tell yourself, you have to keep telling yourself. People, millionaires didn't become millionaires because they were lucky, because it was because of their thought process, because of their actions, and because of what they did and what they told themselves. Did they have negative thoughts sometimes? I'm sure they did. Did they have times where they wanted to give up? Absolutely. They're only human. But don't believe for 1 second that someone's success is result because they never had a negative thought. They never gave up on themselves for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or a day or a week. It happens. They are no different from you. Yes, so always, whatever you want to be in your life, there is a consistency that you have to do. And it's the story that you tell yourself. When it comes to who should I listen to, go with what resonates. Yeah, be open-minded, but not too open-minded that you absorb everything and then you leave yourself confused. Oh, I like that person. I resonate with what they say, and you go along. If tomorrow you don't resonate with them, that's fine. Leave them alone and find someone else. You might be good at, like, life always works out for me. I feel so amazing. I always feel amazing. I always have good days. I always have blessed days. I'm truly blessed. I'm highly favored. Whatever you want, and you just can affirm it, do that. If it's something that you feel like you need to write down, then write it down in a script form or a letter form. Yeah, like, I'm so happy and grateful. I've now got that promotion in the job, and I'm now earning 5k more than I was. And it's so blessed that I'm now able to rent the property or buy my home that I want to buy. Whatever it is that you want to do, write it down. Say it in your head. Go into meditation. Go into prayer. Find something that works specifically for you. Don't worry about these so-called new trends. They're just repackaged and rebranded. You will find that Joseph Murphy has probably talked about them, Neville Goddard and Abraham Hicks, or a string of other people has probably talked about these things, but some of them are more in a long kind of winded way, not long-winded, but in a more conversational way. Some of them are clipped and whatever. Again, if you find these trends and you find these trends are helpful to you, go with it. Don't put yourself, well, I'm not going to go, this is just another new trend. No, if what they say resonates with you and it's helping you to manifest the life you want, go with it. I like to continue to say that, don't get bogged down with what you need to do. If you find yourself that whatever you're trying to manifest isn't working, what you think about come about. What you tell yourself, eventually it will come into reality. And that's what manifestation is. It happens when you're doing it consciously or not. Things like scripting, visualization, all these other little ways are just instruments and tools to help you to make it easier for you to get to where you need to get to. And that is it. For example, if you're someone who wants to lose some weight and the thought of exercise and dieting just basically have you failing before you've started, you start off, right, okay, let me just exercise for one day at the week, and let me eat one healthy meal at a week, and then you can build yourself up. You can say, well, let's have a little bit less of one thing, a little bit more of the healthy stuff. You will adjust it, so eventually you will come to a place where you're doing more of the stuff that's going to help you to get to where you go. And the same thing with manifesting. Some people, they have enough of their life and they're like, that's it. I've read or seen success stories, and people are in a place and they just affirm, and I'm hearing stories. My rent was paid, I got so much more than what I tried to manifest, and I sit there and I'm just like, but that's not happening for me. Why isn't that happening for me? And the reality is because I was wavering, or I had too many intrusive thoughts of negativity in my head and feeling sorry for myself or being frustrated. But and things that did manifest for me always came so easy because it wasn't, oh, this is what I wanted, and I left it alone, and I didn't allow it to be in my head. So the things I really, really, really wanted or really, really, really needed, I struggled with because I had too many opposing thoughts, and the stuff that I just like, I want this, it just kind of like just happened. So it is literally, find what works for you. Know that whatever your thought is, it can come about. Have I manifested stuff when I was a bit negative? Yeah, that's happened too. But generally, that I think those things kind of like when they don't really matter, when they're kind of like either here or there, like it doesn't matter. So you don't have any, you might have a little bit of negative thoughts, but then it's not a dominance. So there's no resistance to what you manifest. But when you've got things like, you've got your bills due, you've got your credit ratings going down because everything is kind of just crashing into you start to panic. And what happens is you try to look for ways. Let me try scripting, let me try affirming, let me try this, let me try that. And in the end, all you're doing is building up even more resistance and more belief that it's a struggle for you to manifest. Anyway, I'm going to leave it just there because I can go on about this, and what I'm going to do is just kind of repeat myself, but I'm going to leave you with this. Find something that works. You don't have to stick to it for every single different thing you want to manifest. You can change it up according to what you want to manifest and also how you're feeling. Sometimes if you're feeling really confident, then you might not need to do a lot. And if you're feeling a little bit less confident, you're going to manifest it. You might just need that extra help. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And until next time, I shall see you later.